Okay, so the first raid tier of BFA opened last week, and for the first time in a while, I decided that I was going to get back into raiding. I haven't actually raided since Kata, so it's been a little while. The one thing I'm not going to be talking about in this video, first off, is all the bugs and everything that's broken with BFA, because I would just like a few minutes to just not cry and be sad about my favorite video game. Now, a friend of mine found a guild that was recruiting, so we joined up and we're all set for raiding the first night the raid came out. Now, the first boss in Uldir is this large robot gentleman, Talok, so I didn't actually know what to expect or how I would do because I haven't raided in a while and I hadn't actually even talked to or played with 70% of my raid group before that moment. Also, I didn't look up any of the fights. But as far as bosses go, I'd say he's a pretty good start. General fare, you get a nice debuff on you, run across the room, when it expires, you drop a little puddle. At some point, your tank's gotta bring the boss over and clear him. Everything is all fine and dandy until you realize that you are on an elevator that is now descending into an old god lab of horrors. This is now phase 2, where living droplets chase you around and you gotta kill blood monsters as fast as you can. This boss actually wasn't a problem. You could say morale was high. However, that is when you walk into the next room and you see Mother. Now, don't be confused. Like Norman Bates once said,
well, a boy's best friend is his mother.
She wants to clear out all the bad stuff from the raid as much as you do. First though, it's time for sanitation. To do this, you not only have to stop yourself from being sucked into the wall furnaces, but also make sure the beams of pure, unadulterated Mr. Clean don't scrub your body apart. Also, there are 3 walls of energy that they hurt your whole group, but they strip you of your filth. But that's not all for your filth. Your filth is strong, and it comes alive and you gotta beat it up in case it thought that you were sorry for getting rid of it. So, like I said, there are 3 of these rooms, each separated by a wall. You get to the 3rd room, you finish off the boss, and you're done. Now, this boss took us a few more tries than Talok. There is a decent amount of coordination needed when you get to the 3rd cleansing chamber, and not everyone was quite dancing the dance like they should have been. Once you're all nice and squeaky clean, Mother pats you on the head and sends you on your way. You get a nice vista view of a good chunk of the raid, and after sacrificing a man to make sure that jumping off the edge wasn't the right decision, we decided we were gonna take the stairs. Some blood, sweat, and trash later, and we were face to face with a giant squid wearing a bug costume that likes to shake a little ass. The Zek'voz fight is probably the most complicated thing that we had experienced up to this point. There are giant lasers that are constantly giving people a little zap, and some storms of dark that are just trying to tear you apart. But worst of all, the I-beam spell makes it so some dwarf in your group that apparently has separation anxiety just murders you over and over again instead of just walking a few feet. But I digress, and your dwarf experiences may vary. This boss proved to be a bit of an issue, and raid time was wearing thin, and we had heard tales of an easier boss that was just across the raid. So, off we went. Next, we came across Patchwork. The Fetid Devourer. And side note, if anyone sees hybrid dogs and decides that that would work with other animals too, you are absolutely incorrect. I mean, my god, look at this thing. If you're not convinced that he's gross, one of the things you gotta look out for is him literally puking out some gray and red sauce in a cone, and it gives you a disease. Other than that, he's pretty simple. He'll select parts of his room to dump more lovely gray and red sludge in, and if you don't beat the sludge so hard that it never gets born, then it comes to life and the boss can eat it to heal. All said and done, boss is pretty easy. We made some quick work of him, and once again, morale was high, and I got a lovely headpiece of nightmares. The raid night ended with a few attempts of the literal living and breathing blood clot Vectus. Like most things in the raid thus far, he's a pretty nasty boy, and wants nothing more than to give you just a little kiss. I mean, god, look at those chompers. Those pearly whites. This boss is a whirlwind of sadness and blood. There's a lot of blood. Now, 3 people get a disease that inevitably spreads to another person and leaves behind an uncleansable debuff that stacks every time you get it. And this just gets worse and worse until everyone is dead or you kill him. Also, in kind of an intermission phase, he turns into a raging vortex of blood and just shoots bombs and surges of blood out at you constantly. And the surges end in more stacks if you get hit, but the bombs end in more ads if you don't get hit by it. Then I mention the ads because they're just more blood. This guy has his kink and he sticks to it. 7 out of 10 would definitely get checked after fighting him. Now, entirely soaked in the blood of Ugh, I don't even know. Raid came to an end. Now, all in all, I think the Uldir is really fun so far. The boss fights are interesting and new and not green, which is super refreshing, and I'm excited to jump back in, which by the time you watch this will already have happened, so part 2 shouldn't be too far behind this one, even if this video is already over a week late. Also, I'm not going to be doing a video for every attempt on a boss that we have. I'll just kind of the first experience and then downing the boss. And then once we full clear, then I'll have to make videos about something else. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and let me know how the raid is going for you and your group. Are you on normal? You on heroic? You big mythic boy? Are you wiping a lot? You having a lot of fun? Whatever your opinion, just let me know. I'm trying to hear it. So everybody have fun, and please, for the love of God, bring a change of clothes to Vectus, because it is not pretty in there.